Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
How do I do it all during the holidays? 4 words. Shipt same-day delivery. With Shipt, I can order groceries from Albertsons, decor from Michael's, even gifts for my furry friend from PetSmart. Plus, my personal shopper brings everything I need that same day. That makes it a breeze to decorate, get my shopping done, and make time for all the holiday parties. Do it all this holiday season with Shipt. Download the app or visit Shipt.com. That's SHIPT.com.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, the FBI Director Kash Patel saying the prior administration, the Joe Biden administration, sat on evidence that would have linked this guy to the 2 pipe bombs that were left the night before January 6th, right in front of the Democratic National Committee building and right in front of the Republican National Committee building on Capitol Hill, not too far away from, of course, where everything happened on January 6th. It's always been a mystery, and I never could understand why they didn't have information on something that looks like somebody caught on video dropping off stuff. It just seemed like not that difficult of a case. And let's not forget that the Democrats, if you bought a Snickers bar at a Walmart anywhere near Washington, D.C. on January 6th, they were going after you. They were going after grandmothers. They were going after anybody who was anywhere near the Capitol on January 6th. Remember, the Democrats were throwing the book at them. They had those so-called hearings. And suddenly the evidence, of course, got destroyed, according to Benny Thompson. Whoops. But anyway, so there are so many questions tonight as to how this suddenly came together under the Trump DOJ and the Trump FBI. And here is Dan Bongino, of course, Deputy FBI Director. And this was his reaction today when it broke that they arrested this guy in Woodbridge, Virginia.
We've been working on for a very long time. We deeply appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words, Attorney General and Director. I appreciate it. Folks, this is what it's like when you work for a president who tells you to go get the bad guys and stop focusing on other extraneous things not related to law enforcement. This is what happens. We had a great team. I know it's said a lot in this business. It was a team effort. It becomes cliche, but cliches are useful for a reason because they matter. And this was a team effort. The director and the attorney general emphasized that it was not a new public tip this was our internal work at the FBI.
So not an external tip, nothing new. So nobody gets the big, massive reward. I think it was like a $500,000 huge reward. Nobody gets it. They said it was just good shoe leather. And here is John Solomon talking about the suspect, what he did that was interesting, buying materials before and after the incident.
They were able to find his car coming into the city. Then they tracked his cell phone on the same path as the bomber. And then they found credit card receipts. Here are the interesting things about the credit card receipts. He began buying bomb-making materials in late 2019. He bought a bunch of them right as the BLM riots were beginning in the summer of 2020. And he kept buying them even after the January 6th bombs were found on January 6, 2021. That's very interesting. The experts are telling us that suggests that this might be a person with an ideological motive, that he might have been involved in more than one explosive project, and that he may even have accomplices. Now,
that's interesting. We still don't know. You're right. Did somebody help him? We don't know. There's a lot of unanswered questions. What I do know, as soon as you look at the guy in a photo that his mother put up on Facebook last year saying what a great son he was, I wonder if she'd still put it up now. But Jake Tapper on CNN went out of his way. It's very odd, saying that the January 6th pipe bomber was a white man, a 30-year-old white man. Well, if you look at the picture of the guy, he's not a white man. It's pretty obvious. So why would CNN say that at that point? I believe everybody had the photos and had the image and had the name of this guy. If you see him, he's clearly not a white guy. So why would you say that? And why would you even say that if he were a white guy? Why would you say the suspect a white guy or the suspect a black guy? At the time, he's a suspect who's accused of a heinous crime. But he seemed to go out of his way to say the white guy when he's clearly not a white guy. So I want to hear your thoughts about that too tonight, because boy, that's really interesting. Now also, lots of stuff coming out tied to what's going to happen when Zoran Mondani takes over. He is still being very coy with the media, and I had to play this clip for you guys because Zoran Mondani, first of all, in the last few days, bravo to Eric Adams. He has signed a whole bunch of stuff that is against BDS, which is that boycott, divest, and also sanction moves against Israel that totally discriminate against Israel, which is illegal. So Eric Adams signed an executive order barring New York City from making business or pension investment decisions that could discriminate against Israel. So he's protecting Israel because he knows what's going to happen when anti-Semitic Zoran Mondani comes in on January 1st. Also, he did another executive order, Eric Adams, on his way out from the mayor's office, saying that these protests near houses of worship should not happen within about 50 feet, saying they shouldn't be able to block the doors, they shouldn't be able to harass worshipers, whatever the religion is. At houses of worships, there should clearly be space between the door and the worshipers and these wacky protesters. So Zoran Mondani was asked about this today. And, what do you think? Do you agree with these things? What are you going to do with these executive orders? Because he has to make a decision to either keep them or to rescind them. So if he rescinds them, boy, that'll send an interesting statement. It'll show he's as anti-Semitic as I think he is. But listen to what he said. He's like playing coy when he's asked by reporters, hey, what do you think about Eric Adams and his BDS executive orders? What do you think about this? Listen to the answer.
Mayor is free to issue as many executive orders as he'd like with the less than 30 days that he has in office. And then we will be taking a look at every single one once we actually enter into city.
That's an interesting point. So he is saying he's free to pass whatever, and I'm going to just look at him on day one. So what kind of executive orders, A, will he rescind, and which ones will he also try to institute on his own on January 1st? It's going to be an interesting balancing act. The fact that he won't even answer on that. If somebody said to me, will you abide by this executive order that says, you can't discriminate against Israel? I'd be like, of course I do. I don't want to discriminate against anybody. That should be a no-brainer. That should be an easy decision. And then don't you think it's a good idea that we have these protesters 50 feet away so they're not blocking doors and shouting at parishioners, whether they're Jewish parishioners or other faiths? Don't you think it's a good idea that they can, pray peacefully, that they don't have to be harassed or threatened at the front door? That's an easy one, too. I'd say, heck yeah, that's great. That's great. Of course I will. I'm going to keep that, and I'm going to even add to it. But not Zoran Mondani, which is what is frightening when this guy comes in January 1st. It is going to be trouble, guys. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And let's go back to Dom in Minnesota. Dom, thank you for holding. You were just about to talk about your examples. So go ahead, take it away. And you were talking about Jake Tapper.
Yeah, Rita. Jake Tapper, the Democratic spokesperson at CNN, described the pipe bomber as a white man, but he turned out to be black, which might explain why the Biden administration did not want to touch the pipe bomber even with a 10-foot pipe. So
why do you think he didn't fit the narrative? Dom, you're making me laugh. Do you think because
they did not want to go there because, if you talk about a black guy who is performing all these things, they did not have any reasonable explanation how to beat up on the Republicans. There would have been a death knell for him to talk about it, which is probably why they said, okay, let's not do it. Or they didn't do the investigation or due diligence. Just imagine Pam Bondi said there was no new information. We just dug up all we had. Trump and his team and cabinet are performing like the New York Philharmonic and are a treat to watch.
By the way, that's good. And they're pretty good. The Philharmonic is very talented. And you're right. They're just saying, they made a pledge. They would try to get to the bottom of a lot of these things. And it is extraordinary when you see all the different things that have come out so far in the investigations and the fact that it was only in October, I mentioned, they put out that like an enhanced footage of that grainy surveillance footage that we all saw the guy walking. It looked like a guy walking, walking around the DNC and the RNC, but you couldn't see his face. You couldn't tell even if he was black or white or anything. But I think it's pretty interesting how all of this kind of came about and came together, and the fact that it was ignored for 4 years. And juxtapose that, Dom, with the fact that there were literally grandmothers. There was like a grandmother, I think, from Texas who came to the Capitol, and she was just there at the Capitol, with the crowd, and she got arrested. So, they pinged her phone. They were able to figure out that she was there. They also went to stores around the area. They pinged those. So you look at a lot of those things, the purchases, they did some pretty sophisticated stuff there, and yet they couldn't do basic connect the dots with this one. It doesn't seem right, does it, Dom? They went to such lengths on the other. If you were a few blocks away, even if you sneeze there, you were going to get arrested. But if you left a pipe bomb, we'll let you slide. It doesn't smell right, Dom.
Yeah, Rita, Barack Obama and Eric Holder also performed like the New York Philharmonic and all in this whole team, but not for the good of the country. That's the distinction.
Yeah, well, that's what it seems. It seems like it was an intentional oversight because nobody's that bad. And the people at the FBI are very good. They're very well trained. In this case, they just needed a few months, and look what they did. So there's a lot more to the story. There was clearly some politics playing, and I hope we get to the bottom of it. Dom, thank you very, very much. Let's go to Reggie in Texas on line 5. And by the way, Reggie, it just came out a little bit ago that the Supreme Court, it looks like, has ruled in favor of those new redistricted congressional seats there in Texas that the GOP wanted. So that's good news for the GOP in Texas.
Oh, most certainly. Hopefully, without with some hope, maybe Miss Crockett will be on the unemployment line. Yes.
Oh boy. But then what are we going to do for entertainment? What are you going to do for comedy?
Well, I think what we can do, there's probably going to be a lot of those long-haul trucking jobs because of all the illegals that have the CDLs. I think she'd be okay. I can see her at a Buc-ee's or a gas station loading up. She'd be a lot of fun to talk to.
She sure would be. She is definitely entertaining. Some of the comments she makes are insane. And she is even talking about running for higher office, that people are pushing her to maybe run for Senate. So we may sadly see a lot more of her. So, Reg, what do you make about all this stuff? And also, since you're there in Texas, what about all this stuff tied to the Venezuelan drug boat?
Well, this is going to be my point on this. If you indulge me, please. My first point is this. They are putting our military in a very dangerous situation moving forward because these foreign countries, they listen to what these politicians and what our leaders talk about. All we have to do is go back to that little summit in Alaska when the rotting bag of oatmeal took office and he had a Secretary of State. They got scolded about how we treated, the whole thing with a racial situation here and BLM and everything else. So they pay attention. And the reason why I'm making that point is when you start making accusations that your military is involved in shooting what they call shipwrecked sailors or anybody who's in a non-combat situation, that's going to make shooting our guys, our gals, whoever's in a uniform, that much easier because they're going to be able to say, well, you're doing it, you admit to doing it. And my second point was going to be this. This is definitely a codified situation. First, they've gone after the police. Look at how they denigrated police and law enforcement. Now they're denigrating our military. And it started, listen, there hasn't been anyone saying, well, we can't go shooting National Guard members. So the military was attacked, no outrage. And now you're actually questioning not only you're questioning the honor and integrity of our military. So they're going completely after all our hallmarks as a republic.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. They're trying to break it down in so many, layers and like the authority, chain of command. It's really frightening, I think, in so many ways to see. You know what's amazing also, Reg, as we're talking about all of this, that even though, like, even this Jim Hines, as you brought up, said, these were shipwrecked sailors, but then right before that, he said, no doubt they were bad people. So he's not denying they were drug dealers, and yet he still seems to be sympathizing and calling them shipwrecked sailors. So he's like talking out of both sides of his mouth. Like he's saying they were bad folks, but they were just sweet bad folks, like you can't have it both ways. And that's why it's just such lunacy. He knows they're bad folks. He knows. And now they're trying to kind of go back to this. Well, hitting these boats all together isn't really the appropriate thing, that Congress should have come through. So they're trying to kind of change the narrative a little bit after watching this video, because I think even Jim Hines realized these were bad folks. And it wasn't Mother Teresa knitting a sweater on a boat in the middle of the ocean, I mean, I think he knows. He used the phrase, they're bad people. So they were probably really bad people. And Jim Hines just doesn't want to give us all of those details. 1-800-848-9222. And we will continue, guys, after the break.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now, is a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Payne Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Jay Kelly, the new film from Academy Award nominee Noah Baumbach. George Clooney stars as an actor confronting his past and present on a journey of self-discovery, alongside Adam Sandler as his devoted manager. Critics are calling it a declaration of love to the chaotic art of filmmaking, with the Wall Street Journal praising it as a transcendent comedy drama. Watch Jay Kelly December 5th, only on Netflix.
It's 7v7 soccer. Smaller the pitch, faster the action. The world's elite soccer clubs compete for their share of a massive $5 million prize. Catch World Sevens on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max December 5th through the 7th.
Grabbing the holidays by the boughs with Duluth. Step 1. Hire a mall Santa to handle snow removal.
Ho, ho, ho! My sciatica.
Step 2. Hit Duluth Trading and load up on fire hose pants, buck naked underwear, pocket pack bibs, free swinging flannel, and all kinds of ingenious gear you won't find anywhere else. Grab the holidays by the boughs and shop Duluth Trading, online and in store.
This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And let's go real quick to your calls. Let's go to Joaquin in Pennsylvania, line 3. Go ahead, Joaquin.
Good evening, Rita. I'm going to be the fly in the ointment. I'm going to reserve the applause until I see what happens. I don't know if you remember this, and I don't remember. I heard this. It was talked extensively on another radio show. And do you know who Julie Kelly is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I have Julie Kelly's book. It might even be in her book, but I can't find a copy of it. Somebody actually had spotted the suspicious package with the pipe bombs, and reported it to a minimum of at least 2 or more D.C. officers, okay? And they basically blew it off and told them not to be worried about it, that it wasn't of their concern. So this was actually spotted earlier before the whole thing finally, was actually found out. So it was meant to stay there for a while. So this whole thing was set up somehow.
So what do you think? Who do you think's behind it?
I think, the FBI is involved somehow, because there were 3 mysterious white buses that was there earlier in the day and let people, and brought people to the grounds over there.
That's an interesting. And remember, I do remember those reports of those white buses. questions about Antifa, questions about who was in the audience, who showed up later. I agree. There's more to the story.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And now a message from McAfee.
Your package couldn't be delivered.
You owe thousands in unpaid tolls.
You want a free gift.
If texts like these sound familiar, McAfee can help. McAfee automatically identifies text and email scams as well as AI-generated audio to help you stay safe. If they're faking it, they're not making it past us. Get award-winning scam detection today. McAfee.com/keepitreal.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana.
Wherever Bud goes, his harmonica goes with him. It's a pocket full of soul. Now he's living with prostate cancer. He asked his doctor about Xtandi enzalutamide. Xtandi 40 milligram tablets treats men with prostate cancer that has spread to other parts of the body and responds to a medical or surgical treatment to lower testosterone. Xtandi may cause serious side effects: seizure, a brain condition called PRESS, allergic reactions, heart disease that can lead to death, falls and bone fractures, swallowing problems, or choking that can lead to death. Stop Xtandi and get medical help at once if your face, tongue, lip, or throat start swelling. Tell your doctor at once if you faint, have a seizure, quickly worsening headache, decreased alertness, confusion, vision problems, chest pain or discomfort, or shortness of breath. Xtandi can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during and 3 months after Xtandi. Common side effects include muscle and joint pain, feeling unusually tired, hot flashes, constipation, less appetite, diarrhea, high blood pressure, bleeding, falls, fractures, and headache. Talk to your doctor and visit Xtandi.com.
This is a real good story about Bronx and his dad, Ryan, real United Airlines customers.
We were returning home, and one of the flight attendants asked Bronx if he wanted to see the flight deck and meet Captain Andrew.
I got to sit in the driver's seat.
I grew up in an aviation family, and seeing Bronx kind of reminded me of myself when I was that age.
That's Andrew, a real United pilot.
These small interactions can shape a kid's future.
It felt like I was the captain.
Allowing my son to see the flight deck will stick with us forever.
That's how good leads the way.
Rita Cosby is on.
And speaking of love, there's a lot of it this holiday season. And please join Red Apple Audio Network's AARP New York City, the Police Athletic League, Gristedes, and D'Agostino Supermarkets, and Nationwide Imaging Services as we deliver holiday meals. More than 5,000 families across this city receive them. So go to redappleaudionetworks.com/turkey, and this holiday season, help the Red Apple Audio Networks feed those in need. Your donation helps put a meal on the table of a family in need. What a great way to celebrate the holiday season by giving back. That's redappleaudionetworks.com/turkey. And everybody, we are talking about the pipe bomb case that seems to have been busted wide open. But what was the Biden administration doing? Sleeping at the wheel. It sure seems that way. Plus, we're also talking about Mondani, Venezuela, and so much more. First off, here is Judge Jeanine Pirro. She, of course, is the U.S. attorney there in D.C., and she was at the press conference when the big news came down. Here it is.
You know, folks, this case involved millions of pieces of data. And it is a huge win because it was like finding a needle in a haystack. So much of this evidence was very specific, but a lot of it was also very general. For example, there were 233,000 black end caps of the type that were used in this case. I want you to think about the fact that the FBI had to go through the sale of every one of them to try to find commonality with an individual, along with the purchase of the pipe itself, the cap ends, the wires, the steel, and the 9-volt batteries. Every one of those had to be mined and remined to the point where we were able to then connect.
It is incredible, but they did it. And the question is, why didn't the Biden administration do it? Well, this is really interesting, and I wanted to play this for you guys. Jake Tapper, host on CNN. When news came that this guy had been arrested today, 30 years old, Brian Cole Jr., the accused pipe bomber who lives right outside of Washington, D.C., your first instinct is, okay, here's the guy. There's a picture of him that was out there. People started putting it out. And Jake Tapper describes him as a white guy. First of all, it's weird that you would say that. Why would you say he's a white guy or a black guy or whoever? That's one thing. And two, he wasn't a white guy. He was a black guy. Not that it matters, but to Jake Tapper, it seems so. And why was he trying to sort of suddenly say he was a white guy? Was he trying to insinuate what? Like that there was something, tied to the Capitol or what? What was he going with this? What do you think he meant by this? I want to play it for you because it is really odd. It's not normal that you say somebody's a white guy or a black guy or whatever. You just say, here's the picture. And especially if you look at the picture, he's clearly an African American. So why was Jake Tapper so anxious to say he's a white guy? Listen to this.
Capitol attack. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction by means of explosions. CNN observed local and federal law enforcement outside his home in Woodbridge, Virginia this morning.
So why was he so hot on saying a white guy? That's just a weird thing to say, and it seems like he was pushing a narrative. And it seems like a pretty similar narrative, by the way, speaking of CNN, that they've had about this Venezuelan drug boat strike. Today, the admiral testified, and we heard afterwards from a number of people who were in that classified briefing saying it was a bona fide legal strike, that the drug guys were still trying to turn the boat over and trying to get to the drugs to save everything. So, I mean, I'm not really sure where the gray is here, but the Democrats seem to be on a mission to be apologists for drug dealers. And here is CNN, and you'll listen to the host going back and forth with Congressman Carlos Jimenez earlier this week, who's saying it was a bona fide strike and CNN didn't really want to have it. Listen to this.
I'm confident that the admiral thought he was carrying out his mission,
but why
which
is it questionable? Why is it questionable to order a strike to kill individuals who are survivors?
These are terrorists. Okay, these are absolute terrorists.
But they're wounded.
I didn't see this kind of scrutiny when the Obama administration was launching drone strikes against terrorist organizations in the Middle East. I mean, that happened all the time. Okay, and so. I didn't see this kind of scrutiny about the survivors, et cetera. These are terrorists. They're bringing poison into the United States. They have killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. And we need to understand that. Killed far more Americans than Al-Qaeda or
so let me just be precise with you,
ever did.
Congressman.
And so I have no problem with the kinetic strikes that are happening in the Caribbean, killing and destroying the drugs that are killing American citizens and have been killing American citizens for years.
Good for that member of Congress. But can you believe that they're in the mode where they got to defend why they tried to kill narco terrorists? It's extraordinary. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Sandra on line 1 in New Jersey. Go ahead, Sandra.
Good evening, Rita. I was thinking today about this issue with the boat being blown up twice, and I was thinking about Pete Hegseth and how they're going to try to crucify him once again. But I was thinking, fentanyl is deadly, just like cancer is, and I was thinking, do you want to treat cancer? There are a lot of ways to treat cancer. You can do chemo, radiation, surgery, holistically. You want to get the cancer out, and you want to do it the most effective way. And that's when I came to grips with this, and I decided they did the right thing. If you leave the margins, if you don't get everything, it's just going to come back. So you want to do the job that you intended to do and just get it done. By leaving pieces still alive there, I don't know. I'm just thinking it's like cancer. You want to fight it, you want to lick it, and you want to do it the best way that works. And I think, like they say,
you want to knock it out. You want to. In fact, Sandra, hold on, because I want to play this. This is because I agree. Either you're in the fight or you're not in the fight. And anybody who's been in the fight in the military, and I know a lot of folks who have been in the fight, they say you're either in it to take out the terrorists, and your attitude has to be wipe out the enemy, especially if the enemy is clearly a bad guy. And I think we can all agree that drug dealers are bad, even Congressman Jim Himes. Well, here is this. I want to play this. This is Pete Hegseth. This is at the cabinet meeting with President Trump, and he's not backing down. He says we have only just started.
As I've said, and I'll say again, we've only just begun striking narco boats and putting narco terrorists at the bottom of the ocean because they've been poisoning the American people. And Joe Biden tried to approach it with kid gloves and allowed them to come across the border. Cartels take over community, 20 million people, hundreds of thousands of Americans poisoned. And President Trump said, no, we're taking the gloves off. We're taking the fight to these designated terror organizations. And that's exactly what we're doing. So we're stopping the drugs. We're striking the boats. We're defeating narco terrorists, and we're standing.
And you may say one thing, that drugs coming in through the sea by sea are down 91%. And I don't know who the 9% is.
I'm not sure either, sir.
But down 91% by sea.
We've had a bit of a pause because it's hard to find boats to strike right now, which is the entire point. Right? Deterrence has to matter, not arrest and hand over and then do it again, the rinse and repeat approach of previous administrations. This is meant to get after that approach. And I will just end by saying, as President Trump always has our back, we always have the back of our commanders who are making decisions in difficult situations, and we do in this case and all these strikes. They're making judgment calls and ensuring that they defend the American people. They've done the right things. We'll keep doing that. And we have their backs, Mr. President.
Good job. Thank you very much.
Bravo. Sandra, thank you very much. That just reinforces what you said. Let's go to Steve in Florida, line 3. Go ahead, Steve.
Hi, Rita. How you doing?
Good. What do you think?
Well, I think he's 99%. He's not MAGA.
Who are you talking about, the pipe bomber?
The pipe bomber. If he was MAGA, Biden's FBI would have arrested him.
You know what? You very well may be right. We don't know. We're just getting details about this guy. We don't know.
That's all I have to say.
But Steve, you're right. If he was MAGA, you heard what I said. If you were a grandmother and you bought bubble gum within 50 miles of the Capitol, somehow you would have gotten arrested. I mean, some of these people that they've taken in for just walking into the Capitol.
MAGA people, exactly, 100%.
Right.
Correct.
I mean, maybe they looked at it and said, oh, this doesn't fit the narrative. Let's move on, because they can't be that stupid. They can't be that bad. And that's why I think this was politics. I mean, listen, there are so many great people there at the FBI. There is no doubt that they are great law enforcement folks. And look, when they're able to do their jobs, which, clearly in this case they were, they did a masterful job. So,
and I hope go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, to me, I fully support our law enforcement 1,000%. So I think there was something else political that interfered with them looking at certain things or focus at certain things, because it's inconceivable that this wasn't put together that way back then.
Yes. I was going to say, I hope Trump's A-team, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Bagina, all of them, I hope they go looking into the cocaine in the White House also and find out what happened there.
Steve, I love you. I hope so, too. Maybe all roads might lead to somebody in the White House that we know, somebody who was visiting his father. Who knows? Or maybe it's someone else. But that is a biggie. And you're right. I hope they absolutely look at that, because remember, suddenly some of the video wasn't working and then the evidence was missing. That was the other weird thing. The cocaine suddenly went missing there. There were a lot of weird things that happened there. Let's see where that goes. You're right, Steve. Let's put some pressure and try to get that answer right away. Let's go, if we can, let's go to Norm in Brooklyn on line 5. Go ahead, Norm.
Yes. Okay. I'm a January 6th veteran.
That's right. That's right.
So what
do you make of the pipe bomber who they somehow couldn't get for all those years? But you and your buddies, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah, at the time, I don't remember much of the stuff that was going on I about a pipe bomber. I was so obsessed with, my friends telling me, oh, you better hide any pictures you got or whatever. Just don't talk about it because they're going to come get you and all. I mean, it was like, anyway, and they were getting people. So, at the time, I guess I was so traumatized by the aftershock of being potentially sent behind bars for 22 years for just being on Washington soil in the vicinity. I did not. I don't know why. I didn't really recall pipe bomber.
Well, here, Norm. So let me hold on 1 second, because sure. I obviously heard a lot about it. At the time, I remember thinking, that's weird. They're so focused on all these people, like you and your friends, who were are good, decent people that were there at the Capitol. And then the pipe bomber, suddenly it was always a weird mystery that they didn't solve it. I just found it odd. I always found like there was more to the story. So now that you hear this, of all the efforts that they went after, where you and your friends were so worried about the visits from the FBI because you were near the Capitol or at the Capitol, even if you didn't do anything, violent or anything whatsoever. Right. And now you got a guy who was collecting parts for several years to construct a bomb. His cell phone pinged at least 7 times in the area that night by the DNC and the RNC. And the shoes match there's a lot of stuff that it looks pretty basic, not basic because there's a lot of things, but if you really focus and you put the best agencies in the world, which they did, with the FBI and others on it, they just kind of connected the dots and they put it in there. It doesn't sound like it was anything new lead or new technology or anything else. It was just dedicated, great agents doing a really good job. So what does that say to you that you guys were going after? And meanwhile, somebody who leaves 2 pipe bombs somehow gets overlooked.
It was low priority, or maybe it's much more nefarious than that. It leads me to believe that maybe that this guy was somehow connected to the feds, somehow connected to some sort of a bigger plot. I don't know. I don't know, and we'll see how this plays out. But it's been, 5 years already. It's amazing that it's taken this long for them to. It's obvious that Biden didn't really want to go after this guy, whatever reason. The government at the time didn't want to go after. Yeah,
Biden didn't. How about all the January 6th hearings with very one-sided, limited information? They didn't want to go after it because you know darn well if it helped them, they would have led the hearings. They would have done pipe bomb hearings for 10 years. And they did wall-to-wall other January 6th stuff, but they didn't want to do anything because it didn't have any fingerprints tied to Trump in their mind, or it didn't fit the narrative. I think there's a lot more to this story, Norm, and that's why I'm curious, and I can't wait to, as you hear tomorrow, we'll probably get more details tomorrow on the background of this guy. Maybe we'll find out more towards a motive. I definitely want you to call back, Norm, because you were there, you experienced it, and I can't wait to get your take as this develops. Norm, thank you. You're terrific. And everybody, we're going to continue your calls after the break. Is there more to the story? And also, why are Democrats seeming to apologize for narco-terrorists? And what is Zoran Mondani planning on January 1st? Is he planning on boycott, divest, sanction Israel? this is going to be an attorney's nightmare because they're going to come in and go after this guy and say that is illegal. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And now, support our heroes.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Support Our Heroes.
And everybody, this is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Support Our Heroes segment with a very powerful story from East Concord, New York, where veteran Arthur Spencer was recognized and honored with a special Quilt of Valor at his home. He was an E4 specialist who served in the U.S. Army, and after basic training and field artillery training from there, he was deployed to Vietnam in 1970. He was with the Field Artillery, which supported support to the 1st Cavalry Division, a very storied division. He would be aboard helicopters that would drop the group on top of the mountains in the Central Highlands. Once on site, they would conduct critical combat assaults to try to keep the enemy line to Saigon closed. Spencer and his brothers in arms moved, get this, every 2 weeks, where they would make contact with the enemy and then move on to yet another hotspot. Incredible what he survived. And of course, we love all of our Vietnam veterans. We love you. We appreciate you, and welcome home to you and your families. And everybody, all it takes is just $11 a month to make such an incredible difference. Donate $11 a month to the incredible Tunnel to Towers Foundation. I love this organization. And Frank Siller, who founded it after his brother Stephen, is an incredible, I think, American treasure for all he does for veterans and their families and first responders. Check him out at T2T.org, T2T.org.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Every successful business evolves. And to keep up, you need a bank relationship that evolves too. When you collaborate with KeyBank, you don't get one-size-fits-all solutions. Our expansive team of experts across industry verticals wouldn't be here if you did. Always ready with bespoke solutions for your biggest challenges and opportunities. We know all businesses are different, and that's why we approach business differently. Reimagine business as usual. KeyBank opens doors. Learn more at key.com/B2B.
At IKEA, your dreams can come true. Well, maybe not the ones where you're being chased by a monster. We're talking about kitchen dreams. And there are IKEA products and solutions for all of them. Whether it's a whole new kitchen, a statement glassware set, or just new cutlery. If you got big dreams or small dreams in any size of budget, IKEA can help you bring them to life. Visit IKEA.us/dreamkitchen to learn more. Dream the possibilities.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And let's go to your calls, everybody. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Stacy in Pennsylvania, line 1. Go ahead, Stace.
So all the networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, and CNN, and all those networks are owned by who? By who?
What's your point?
My point is, like, seriously, like, white man, black man, Hispanic, like, person. Like, seriously.
What? So your point, Stacy, sorry, we're tight on time, but your point is they come in with a bias. And clearly it looks like Jake Tapper did on this one.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here? Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Idea Gen Global Podcast with George Sifakis.
I'm George Sifakis. In a world overflowing with noise, there is one forum where the world's smartest voices connect, where visionaries sit at the same table as innovators, and great minds don't just talk, they act.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday, because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day. Yeah? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.